why I've decided not to do. 25 obscure new wave of British heavy metal albums you need now. Welcome back to the Contrarians. I'm Martin Popoff. This is a show about a show that I'm not going to do. I'm not going to do this show. I'm not going to give you these 25 obscure new wave heavy metal, new wave of British heavy metal albums you need now, because there aren't 25 obscure new wave of British heavy metal albums you need now. I was all gung-ho. I was going to put together this show. I thought, oh, it's going to be cool. I'm going to do all these underdogs. You keep telling me that I've left off the list of the various new wave of British heavy metal shows that we've done so far. So I started looking at the list of all the albums that, generally speaking, I looked at the list of the albums that I rated. Well, here's the book here. So in this book, I reviewed 900 new wave of British heavy metal records. Of course, that includes mostly singles and EPs, but then, of course, all the albums as well. So I had an appendices in the back, and it's like, here's everything that I rated, 8s and 9s and 10s and all that kind of stuff. So I started going through it, whittling it down, and I did not have nearly 25, and most of them were various artist albums. So here's the problem, and this is why I can't do this show. So I'm just going to tell you the thought process of what happened when I went through this. So number one, as I kind of argued in a previous show in a huge way, the idea that you can make a sensible new wave of British heavy metal top 10 list, and almost every album on there is by Def Leppard, Iron Maiden, or who's the other one? Iron Maiden, Motorhead, Iron Maiden. Maybe it's just Def Leppard and Iron Maiden. Yeah, that was it. But yeah, a lot of Saxon, a lot of Motorhead. So the point is, and yes, I know that the big debate, Motorhead, I'm not supposed to include. I should do a whole show on that, because I think I've argued that a few times. But to me, the first Motorhead album is a demo, and they really start in 1979 in a big way, right? When they go color, when they go on bronze. I'll leave it at that. But the point is that number one, there aren't a lot of new wave of British heavy metal albums, especially. We can also have this debate about what your cutoff year is. When I did my trilogy of books, I cut it off at 84, but people are telling me, no, you can't go past 1982. Some people are saying even 1981. So there's not a lot of albums, number one. And number two, what does obscure mean? What really is obscure? Is Tigers of Pantang obscure? Is Angel Witch obscure? Is Demon obscure? So that was the other problem. Where do you cut that off? And then as I started looking at it, I've got a pretty short list of albums that I would include on this list at all. And I'm not feeling, the very best ones here are not feeling particularly obscure. So what did I have on here? So the albums that I would include, if I could come up with 25, which I can't, and I like I say, I walked into it saying 25 obscure new wave of British heavy metal albums you need now, exclamation mark. No, I'm not feeling that about these. So what did I have on this list? I had Chateau, Chained and Desperate. I had Chateau, Firepower. So the first two Chateau albums. I had EF Band, Deep Cut. And we know that's a weird one, right? Because aren't they like half Swedish, half British, that band? But it's a good album. Fist, Back with a Vengeance. How obscure is Fist? I mean, they're on MCA, but the second album's pretty darn good. They're both kind of scrappy, but I kind of, almost nudge Back with a Vengeance into you need this one. Touched Back Alley Vices is kind of a weird oddball one. It's later. But then, I had on here various artists, Brute Force, the second Metal for Mothers. I really think there's a lot of magic to that album. You got the Trespass songs on there, right? And New Electric Warriors is action-packed start to finish. I mean, I don't think any of that stuff is on any albums. And there's some really good obscurities on that one. And then, of course, you've got the super expensive rarities, Rock Snacks and Rock's Caliber and Scene of the Crime. That's kind of a trilogy of these ones that are pretty rare, Hollow Ground and all those kind of weird bands on there. Some good stuff there. And so, yeah, we're moving into where we could talk about EPs and singles, and then there's all sorts of obscurities. But you know me with the intentionality of having a whole album out. An album means a lot to me. The sum of those songs is greater than the parts, synergy, all that. It gives you more to talk about. So I really like to focus things on albums, right? So that's kind of what I had, and it's definitely not 25, and more than half of them are compilations. Also, I had Wildfire, Summer Lightning. I have a soft spot for that band. I wish they were better produced, and maybe the performances were keyed in a little better. It's a little loose, but the songs are amazing. I really like Wildfire, especially the second album. Then you think about Gaskin, you put in the second Gaskin album. You put in the first Dark Star album, which isn't terribly impressive. Beyond Lady of Mars, Lady from Mars, whatever it's called. Money, First Investment, Original Sin, The Shadow, Shiva, Fire Dance, Sledgehammer, Blood on Their Hands. I got some complaints about leaving that one off before, but that's kind of really loose and weird and obscure. Volts, Night's Fall. So there's a few things, there's a few bits and pieces and scraps. But yeah, I could not come up with 25 total obscurities that I would say you need these ones now. So this kind of drives home. It's almost like a meta driving home the point version of that episode that I did that got a lot of flack about how you can make up a whole list and it's just Iron Maiden and Def Leppard albums, right? Because the meta version of that is the next batch are pretty well known, right? Quartz is on MCA, Holocaust Nightcomers, everybody knows about that. You got the whole Tigers of Pantane catalog you can include. Then we can have that debate about Motorhead. People got mad at me for not including enough Saxon, but I think the Saxon album that's far away better than all the others is Power and the Glory. But yeah, you could have your Strong Arm and Law, your Wheels of Steel on there. You could have your Denim and Leather. So the point is, most of them are not obscure. And I think the best ones are absolutely the absolute least obscure of all of them, i.e. the Def Leppards and Iron Maidens. And when I tried to make this list of 25, I could not feel great about that list. So there you go. This show has been called Why I've Decided Not to Do 25 obscure new wave of British heavy metal albums you need now, because I look at this dang list and I don't know if there's more than 5 on here that I would absolutely recommend and say, yes, these are masterpieces, and yes, they're kind of obscure. So there you go. Short, quick show for you there. But yeah, check out some of this stuff. I mean, I guess to leave a message here, I would say what I learned from doing this exercise in non-episode making is that if you go concentrate on a bunch of these compilation albums, Brute Force, Metal from Others 2, New Electric Warriors, Rock Snacks, Rock's Caliber, and Scene of the Crime, you will end up in Belfast Metal. You could throw that, or Green Metal, it's called, I think it is. You could there's Friday Rock Show. There's a few other ones, right? You can add up a bunch of the cool obscurities, and they actually are on albums. But really, I think that the real nugget diving for new wave of British heavy metal is to go through all the singles and EPs, and you'll find a bunch of cool stuff there as well. So there you go. This has been Martin Popoff for the Contrarians. MartinPopoff.com for my books, my audio podcast, History in 5 Songs with Martin Popoff, and Kicked in the Teeth, an AC/DC podcast, and that I do with John Gaffney. All my books. I got about 100 books in print at martinpopoff.com. And go check out our other new wave of British heavy metal episodes. There you go. Go listen to some Rock's Caliber and Rock Snacks.